Hey everybody, this is Jake. Welcome back to the official Plugged In Vodcast. I am sitting here alongside Paul Acey, and we're talking about spy movies.
Yes, indeed.
And we've been sparked by Mission Impossible Rogue Nation.
Making a ton of money.
Bank! But Paul, I understand that you have a little bit of a story that ties into spy movies.
Yeah. You know, I was actually telling you earlier that these spy movies have sort of a special place in my heart that maybe they shouldn't in a way. And it's all because of my grandma. She loved spy movies. She would, when we were little kids, we would go over to her house. We would watch old James Bond. We'd watch In Like Flint, which was an old sort of spoof of... I know. Look at me. I work for Plugged In, and I'm watching spy Bond movies when I'm 7 years old. She totally corrupted you.
Okay.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Continue. I've got the first part of the story. Grandma is evil.
Grandma is not evil, but she had her thing for James Bond. Loved spy movies. So, you know, fast forward a number of years, and I'm coming home from college, and Grandma's visiting, and I'm sort of talking with her about movies today, and she has nothing good to say about old movies or new movies. About new movies. She says, "Oh, the sex, the violence, they're horrible. I could never watch a movie like that." And then I say, "Well, except for James Bond, right?" And then she sort of smiles, and there's this little glint in her eye, and she says, "Well, except for that." And, you know, it was really the first illustration, I think, that I had where we tend to have these standards, and yet when we love something, when we love a story, a movie, a television show, we make exceptions. You know, I think it's human nature that we tend to sort of separate something, and we say, this is really bad, except in this case.
Right.
And I think that that's a pretty interesting thing, and I think we all do it. Like I say, I sort of do it. You know, I would be, even, you know the content problems, and yet when I watch a James Bond movie, I think a little of my grandma. Right. And it sort of softens the whole environment for me. So anyway.
I imagine that probably helps with the content concerns too.
Yeah, that is true.
But I think that's a good point, and I think we have to wrestle with it. You know, whether we are the ones reviewing the movies, whether the ones watching them with a critical eye, or whether we're just trying to enjoy films and we're starting to think maybe there's more to this than simply eating my popcorn. And that they strike on that idea in Mission Impossible of maybe they don't say it outright, but one of the things in Mission Impossible, and particularly in this movie, is that Ethan chooses to have these exceptions for Ilsa of ignoring these things that should be like negative character traits, like, you know, abandoning him for dead and like trying to kill him and, things like that, because he has this soft spot, because there's something he sees of value in her, right? And so he chooses kind of to say, okay, I'm okay with these negative character flaws because I see something bigger, I think. You
know, and the tricky thing I think about movie discernment in a way is that you do see, like Ilsa, you have these stories that have real value to them, and yet they have the real problems with them as well. And the struggle that I think we always go through when we talk about media discernment is how to balance them. Right. You know, how to be aware of the problems, to not excuse the problems, and still, when possible, glean something good from the story. Right.
And it takes, and this is a buzzword, but it takes intentionality. It doesn't happen by accident.
No.
You know, even as we talk about it, we have to continually, I think, recognize where our own bias plays in, and where we are tempted to overlook certain things because of whatever emotional or personal heartstring is plucked.
Sure, absolutely. So when you go and watch movies, don't watch it like a 7-year-old me watching James Bond. You engage your brain, really think about what you're watching, and really analyze what you love and why you love it.
Yeah, and talk to us. Do you have a process for that? Does it involve sitting down and talking about it? Does it involve journaling about it, reviewing it? Or do you think this is all hogwash?
It's not hogwash.
It's not hogwash. But if you can tell us why you think it is, respectfully, we want to hear it because we want to have a conversation.
Absolutely.
And we think this is worth talking about because movies are pretty interesting. Stories are really interesting. And it's our stories that draw us together. So
absolutely.
What's your story? Let us know. Comment section below. I'm Jake. Thanks for joining us on this official Plugged In Vodcast. Paul.
See ya.